Hello, curious minds. I'm Koko, and today we're traveling to a land of breathtaking northern lights, mighty Vikings, incredible innovation, and one of the highest qualities of life anywhere on Earth. Today, we discover Sweden. Sweden sits in northern Europe on the Scandinavian peninsula, bordered by Norway to the west and Finland to the northeast, with the Baltic Sea and Gulf of Bothnia to the east and south. It is the largest country in Scandinavia and the fifth largest in the European Union, covering an area of 450,000 square kilometers. Sweden is a country of extraordinary natural beauty, with over 220,000 lakes, vast ancient forests covering 2/3 of the entire country, thousands of islands scattered along its coastline, and some of the most spectacular displays of the northern lights anywhere in the world. Its capital is Stockholm, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, built across 14 islands where Lake Mälaren meets the Baltic Sea, earning it the nickname the Venice of the North. Sweden's history is one of the most fascinating in all of Europe. The Swedish people are descendants of the legendary Vikings, fierce and extraordinarily skilled seafarers who between 800 and 1100 AD sailed further than anyone thought possible. Swedish Vikings traveled east, down the rivers of Russia, all the way to Constantinople and Baghdad, establishing trade routes that connected the Norse world to the great civilizations of Byzantium and the Islamic world. They even reached North America 500 years before Christopher Columbus. In the 17th century, Sweden became one of the great powers of Europe. The Swedish Empire, at its peak, controlled vast territories around the Baltic Sea, including parts of modern-day Germany, Poland, Finland, and the Baltic states, making Sweden one of the dominant forces in European politics. Sweden has been at peace for over 200 years. Since 1814, Sweden has not participated in any war, making it one of the most peaceful nations in all of human history. This extraordinary period of peace allowed Sweden to focus on innovation, education, and building one of the most advanced societies on Earth. Sweden gave the world one of the greatest gifts in human history. Alfred Nobel, the Swedish chemist who invented dynamite and then used his enormous fortune to establish the Nobel Prizes, the most prestigious awards on Earth, given every year to those who have made the greatest contributions to humanity in physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and peace. Today, Sweden is home to about 10.5 million people, known for their love of nature, equality, innovation, and exceptional quality of life. Sweden consistently ranks as one of the happiest, most equal, and most innovative countries in the entire world. The Swedish concept of lagom, meaning not too much, not too little, just the right amount, perfectly captures the Swedish approach to life, balance, and moderation. Swedes have a deep and almost spiritual connection to nature. The concept of allemansrätten, or the right to roam, means every Swedish citizen has the legal right to walk, camp, and enjoy nature anywhere in the country, regardless of who owns the land. Midsummer and celebrated in late June when Sweden experiences nearly 24 hours of daylight is the most beloved Swedish holiday, filled with dancing around flower-decorated maypoles, singing traditional songs, and celebrating the midnight sun. Swedish food is wonderfully satisfying. Swedish meatballs served with lingonberry jam and creamy sauce are enjoyed worldwide. Gravlax, which is delicately cured salmon, kanelbuller, which are heavenly cinnamon buns, and the notorious surströmming, fermented herring with such a powerful smell that it is banned from many apartment buildings and airlines worldwide. Sweden does not use the euro. It has its own currency called the Swedish Krona. Despite its relatively small population, Sweden has one of the most innovative and successful economies in the entire world. Sweden is the birthplace of some of the most recognized brands and companies on Earth. IKEA, which revolutionized how people furnish their homes worldwide, Spotify, which transformed how humanity listens to music, Volvo, H&M, Ericsson, and Minecraft. Yes, the most popular video game in history was created by a Swedish developer. Sweden invests more in research and development as a percentage of its economy than almost any other country in the world, and produces more patents and innovations per capita than nearly any other nation. Now, let's explore some of Sweden's most magnificent and unforgettable places. Stockholm's Gamla stan. The old town of Stockholm is one of the largest and best preserved medieval city centers in Europe. A labyrinth of narrow cobblestone streets, colorful 17th century buildings, and hidden courtyards sitting on its own island in the heart of the city. The Vasa Museum, home to the most extraordinary ship in the world, the Vasa warship built in 1628 that sank on its maiden voyage, after sailing just 1,300 meters, and was miraculously recovered from the seabed. 333 years later, almost perfectly intact, it is the best preserved 17th century ship on Earth, and one of the most visited museums in Scandinavia. The Aurora Borealis in Swedish Lapland, and in the far north of Sweden, above the Arctic Circle, the night sky comes alive with the most breathtaking natural light show on Earth. Curtains of green, purple, and pink light dancing across the darkness, in a display so beautiful it seems almost supernatural. The Ice Hotel in Jukkasjärvi, the world's first and most famous ice hotel, rebuilt entirely from scratch every winter using ice from the local river, where guests sleep in rooms carved from ice and snow in temperatures of -5 degrees Celsius. And the High Coast, a UNESCO World Heritage Site on Sweden's northeastern coastline featuring dramatic cliffs, islands, and fjords shaped by the retreat of the last ice age 10,000 years ago, still rising from the sea at a rate of 8 millimeters per year, one of the highest rates of land uplift anywhere on Earth. Before we go, here are some truly remarkable things about Sweden that will amaze you. Sweden invented the modern safety match, the adjustable wrench, the zipper, the cardiac pacemaker, and the computer mouse, making it one of the most inventive nations per capita in all of human history. ABBA, perhaps the greatest pop group in history, were Swedish, and at their peak in the 1970s were the second largest exporter of goods in Sweden after Volvo. Sweden was the first country in the world to give women the right to vote in local elections back in 1718, nearly 200 years before most other nations. And here is perhaps the most wonderful fact. Sweden has more McDonald's restaurants per capita than any other European country, yet consistently ranks as one of the healthiest nations on Earth. Proof that lagom truly works in every area of life. Sweden is a country that has mastered the art of balance between tradition and innovation, between nature and technology, between individual freedom and collective responsibility, creating a society that the entire world looks to as a model of what human civilization can achieve at its very best. I hope you enjoyed our journey today. I'm Koko, and there is a whole world left to discover. See you in the next adventure.